In extra time, an extraordinary header really in the end, wasn't it, from Merino to win it for the Spanish. Now, Macca, this game was not turgid.
Oh, no.
No, it was very enjoyable, as Jürgen said, but two sides that wanted to win. They attacked each other. There was space to counter-attack. It suited, the wide men that we spoke about yesterday. I thought, the likes of Musiala in the first half, Nico Williams, Lamine Yamal was good, and people come on. Dani Olmo came on. I'm very sad for Pedri that he got injured early on. But Dani Olmo came on and showed his class, didn't he? Really highly enjoyable game, and it was... Whoever would have went through would have deserved it, to be honest. Fulkrug came on and made a nuisance of himself and had great chances, didn't he? But Spain have been the standout team. Yeah. So, I'm more than happy for them to go through. They deserved it, really.
I think Fulkrug was the made the difference between the previous games and now. Every time he was coming on, he was scoring goal, and there was the margin in football between winning and losing is very thin. He hit the post. He made a header just to be at really the end where he could have got in. And that's what football is. And I think nobody has to be blamed. Germany did what they had to do. Yeah. I think Spain were better until they scored the goal. And after Germany came back, and we had a very good game with so much talent everywhere on the field. That was a very enjoyable game.
Is it fair that Germany can go home? Well, they are home. With their heads held high, Jürgen.
Next door.
I think they can keep their heads high. Yeah, I think they did fine. They did... obviously, they won the first two games. That was not so difficult with Scotland and Hungary. Then they got a little lesson by Switzerland. They should probably have lost that game. And then they did okay with Denmark to get into the quarterfinals. But the quarterfinals is the make or break it game. You make it into the semifinals, and you can call it a good tournament. And you don't make it into the semifinals, and it's not a good tournament. And there are a lot of questions. Obviously, overall, you can be happy with the performance. You cannot be too critical. They showed a good spirit. The atmosphere was brilliant. The fans were fantastic. And today's game was a very, very good game from both sides. But when you then analyze, you go a couple of days forward from now, and you analyze this game a bit into detail. Then you ask that question, like Frank said, why did Füllkrug not play from the beginning on most of the time? Because every time he came on, he was a difference maker, and Havertz was not that difference maker most of the time. Why did he sub Gündogan today after 60 minutes? Gündogan is your captain. He is the man. So why you're taking out your captain after 60 minutes in this make or break it game? So there will be a lot of questions also being asked, in a couple of days from now. When Thomas Müller came on, and obviously then you have that question: why did the older guys come back? Was that the right decision or not? So overall, I think in Germany they are fine with seeing the limits against a very, very good Spanish side, where, as you said, Dani Olmo made a huge difference there on the field today.
With all those balls dropping in and around the box, you'd want somebody like Gundogan coming on to that, wouldn't you? With his experience, his class at finishing. And what was obvious was that for all the talk these days about false nines and tactics, that Germany showed that getting quality crosses into the box
big number 9
with a big physical number 9 puts the heebie-jeebies in most defences, and we saw that. And credit to Germany for doing that. But I thought that was obviously a huge blow for Spain when Pedri went off. But I tell you what, Dani Olmo coming on was just absolutely excellent. But you got to feel for Pedri. This young man is. He's having a time of it, isn't he? Both for club and country. It just seems that, I don't know if he's a little fragile. It just seems any physicality around him, and he's struggling. It was a bad challenge, and I think it should have been a booking early on, no matter when it was in the game. But I didn't think it was going to be enough to see him off. But Dani Olmo getting him something different. Pedri's got the quality on the ball, but Dani Olmo coming on. He's a good footballer, but he's somebody. He reminds me a little bit of Diego Jota in a way that he's brilliant at drifting into the box. We saw him for the goal, but he's more direct. He's less likely to get involved in the open play, but he's making runs. So he gave Spain something a little bit different, because they have the wide boys there that stretches defences, and that just allowed somebody like him, when Ruiz and Rodri are a little deeper, to come on to these deeper runs, which he did brilliantly for the goal.
And it was his assist as well for the second, wasn't it? His cross for the second.
Yeah, he played it in. Jurgen, how good a header was that from Marino?
Yeah, fantastic header. I mean, obviously, the positioning of Rüdiger was not the best in that moment, but you got to give Spain a lot of credit. You know, I mean, they thought they're already there. You know, they're going to win that game 1-0, and then Germany equalizes it in the 89th minute with Wirtz, and then, you know, to kind of pull yourself together again and go back to attack the German side. It was remarkable, and this moment where they scored, then it was well deserved. You know, they try to go for the win no matter what, and that's why they deserve to go into the semi-finals. And it was a good German performance, but it was not good enough.
I don't think you can. I don't really think Germany. Well, you could criticise him if you want, and maybe they will get some criticism for some of his changes that Jurgen said. But I think, if you're looking as a general rule of thumb, 12 months ago they were a shambles.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately under Hansi Flick, it had got out of control. You know, he did a great job at Bayern. He's now at Barca, but the Germany job, for whatever reason, the players he was picking, or maybe he didn't have some available, or it was just, you know, the balance wasn't. But they were all over the place. And it looked like they were going to come into this tournament, and actually they were going to struggle to get out of the group. And it wasn't a strong group. But the period that Nagelsmann's been in charge, they come into this tournament with a completely different mindset. Now, maybe necessarily, I don't think many of us thought it was probably going to be good enough to win it. But it was certainly better than where it was 12 months ago. But I think there was always going to be a ceiling for them.
Right.
And that ceiling is around where they've got to.
Playing Spain. Unfortunately, they got in the wrong side of the group, didn't they? That was it.
If they were on the England
if
side.
If they were on the England
Yeah.
side, they'd be in
Yes.
certainly in the semi-finals with a good chance of getting to the
They
final.
wanted to
the
go-
way they've played, but this side of the group, there's going to be unlucky losers.
But they did have chances, like the Unai Simon. They had moments. Havertz, he's got an open goal.
Oh, yeah.
It's not easy, but it's on his left peg, right? And Unai Simon is out. He's gone, and he's just got to take a little bit of care and attention with the lob. Those are the big moments that make the difference.
I want to be a little bit critical towards Nagelsmann. Well, you know, I want to say also that at least he makes decision, and contrary of Roberto Martinez. But we started to see the change of Germany when they played against France away from home in the friendly game when they won against France. And I saw something different coming up with Kroos coming back as well. And that was something good. But remember that I complained about the fact the third game Nagelsmann played the 11 that played the first two games where he should have rested them. So maybe today he took that decision to get rid of Gundogan because he was tired.
Right.
And some players maybe were tired, so that's a mistake. Or you take decision, you take responsibilities for your acts. But I think that was the third game should have been something else. They would have lost. They would have played in the other bracket.
Yes.
So maybe.
It always worries me though that, and I know there have been anomalies that's happened with players, but when you're selecting a player in Emre Can that wasn't in the initial squad, and yet he plays in the quarter-final, and Andrich is left out. I'm not saying Andrich has been brilliant, but he was very good coming into this tournament. When you're selecting a player who, in your head, you thought he didn't merit being in your initial squad, it tells me you're getting away from your gut instincts. And his gut instinct was that Emre Can wasn't going to be there until Pavlovic got injured, and now all of a sudden he's in the starting 11.
Yeah.
Then he takes him off at half-time because he's realised that it's probably not the right thing to do. And I think at that point he's second guessing himself. But I think Spain are just a better side.
What did you think of the Cucurella handball?
I was okay.
You're okay with it?
I was okay with it. And look, handball is probably the most subjective thing in the game.
Sure.
But the reason I was okay with it is because I think there was a really good attempt from Cucurella to actually drag the arm in.
His arm back, yes.
Drag the arm in and down by the side. You can see from there it's pretty vertical. It's not like Musiala's arm there claiming it's not out and away from his body.
I've got to ask the German.
I was okay with it.
Yeah, I was okay.
If it's a subjective.
Shut up. Jurgen?
Okay.
Yeah, obviously, as a German, you would have wished it was a penalty, no doubt about it. And I think you could have given a penalty, but I also agree. You know, he had the arm right next to his body, and he didn't kind of stretch it out wide. So it is what it is. But you would have wished, you know, that that he could have given it to Germany.
Now, for me, yeah, from our time, it's no penalty. But they changed the rule, and if it's still subjective, why did they change the rule? They tried to make it clear. If it's a handball, it's a handball. It's not the hand or the arm is outside of his body shape. So therefore, the rule says penalty. So why do you try to be subjective when you change the rule?
Did you read
the rules properly?
Did you read the email?
No, I don't think what you're saying that his arm is going back to his body. That's not true.
They said the arm is vertical.
They talked to the referees before this tournament, and they had a directive if the arm was.
Okay, so they're still subjective.
I tell you
why do you change the rule?
On another note, I think
You're right. They've changed the rules that many times. Everybody's baffled by it.
On another note, whether we agree with Anthony Taylor's officiating of the game and all the yellows, whether we agree or disagree, I think it's ridiculous that players are coming into this game on such a knife edge, and this is the 5th game.
Yeah, so this is the yellow card, of course. 2 yellow cards accumulated in the first 5 games means you'll miss the next game.
Yeah.
That has to be. I'm sorry, but if you get booked in the opening game for making an attempt at a challenge, it's a booking. You've now got to wait till the quarter-final, and now you're potentially going to miss. It should have been wiped at least after the 4th game. And to allow the players a chance to play in quarters and semi-final. And now if you get booked in the quarter and the semi-final, and you miss the final, then you know the score. But that's just ridiculous what we're going to see with Spain, the amount of players that are going to be missing from the semi-final because of this rule that UEFA have, which I think is absolutely born out of people that don't understand what it means to play in a tournament like this, and the decisions that you have to make as a player. And some of them were bona fide yellows because they were cynical, and some of them were just a little bit late. But what do? You're in the quarter-final, your position in the semi-finals at stake, you're playing for your country, you have to go for some of these challenges, and yet you know you're going to miss a semi-final because this ridiculous rule, and it is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, Jürgen, because surely if you're UEFA, you want the best players on show for your product in the games that really matter.
Absolutely. No, it's definitely a talking point, and it will be a talking point after the Euros, because this, in my opinion, the same thing. It should be eliminated after the round of 16 at the latest, start fresh again and make sure that your top players are in the semi-finals and hopefully also in the final.
We, of course... Oh, do you want to say?
No, I just say I'm happy because there is one French guy who won't play for France.
Oh.
Le Normand, he's suspended.
Yes, Le Normand, Carvajal, and obviously Pedri is out as well. What Germany's elimination meant, of course, Jürgen, is Toni Kroos' career now over?
Yeah, that's how it came across also on German TV tonight, that this was his last game. And obviously, what an amazing career he had and what a player he was. If this is true that he says, he hangs up his boots. So it was, and then obviously a very special game as well because it is against the Spanish side where he played so many years for Real Madrid. No, Toni had a fantastic career, outstanding player. A legend he will be in Germany and probably in Spain as well. So can give him just compliments after compliments.
Do you think maybe he's doubting his decision at all, Jürgen, given the manner in which they left? You say no?
No.
No? What do you think, Jürgen?
Well, I think we all have our doubts, about certain decisions we made at certain times. And he might have them as well, maybe let's wait 3 months without kicking the ball around. I don't know if I could do that. I mean, I still play today for fun. and he will be close to the business side of it. He will be close to probably even if he stays in Madrid, he will be going to the Real games and will be close to his former teammates and maybe it tickles him a little bit in his feet after a couple of months, but it's just normal. Then we'll see if he can resist or if he comes back.
Maybe hopefully he likes golf.
Well, there you go.
You need something to do.
I'm sure he'll be all right. I'm sure he'll keep himself occupied.
I think what people don't realise, and I don't know if this is the case with Toni Kroos, but from ex-players' point of view, is fans and when people retire like that, and he is still at the top of his game, and he's been a heck of a player, is that you see him on a Saturday, but you don't see on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, but you don't see the in between. You don't see the line on the
morning when he wakes up.
You don't see the ice packs. You don't see the morning. You don't see the bruises. You don't see the injections. You just don't see all that side of it. And maybe he's just thinking, do you know what? This has been so good But it's now time. It's time to just say, I'm going out at the top.
Yeah, I spoke to him a couple of months ago and asked him, I said, why are you stopping? It was after